Hey everybody, this is Maxine Taylor with another Trumpology report. This time, we're going to talk about Sarah Huckabee Sanders, our new press secretary, and Anthony Scaramucci, the new White House communications director. Excuse me. If you've been following along recently, I've talked about the press is so in the news. The press is in the news. How interesting. And of course, in recent days, just immediately, a few days ago, both Sarah and Anthony were promoted. More than promoted, they were hired. And so I think it's interesting to talk about what the people who are going to be communicating the news to us now bring to the table. Once again, I don't have birth times on them, so I've got to do a solar chart, which is a little frustrating, but nevertheless, we can tell a lot from this. So, first of all, let's start with Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Now, you know, in a solar chart, the sun is always going to be in the first house. And Sarah is a Leo. Her sun is 20 Leo, 24 plus or minus minutes. And Trump's Mars, which is 26, sits on her sun, and so he fires her up. His ascendant is 29, almost 0 of Virgo, but it still sits on her ascendant. And with her sun on his ascendant and his Mars and ascendant on her sun, it's a very powerful go get 'em kind of quality. I also want to mention that Sarah has Venus in 28 Cancer, and Trump's Saturn and Venus are right there. Trump's Saturn is 23 and his Venus is 25. When you have a Venus conjunction from chart to chart, Venus is love, it's friendship, it's happiness, it's Venus is the lesser benefic, and so this adds a very nice, happy, compatible friendship note to it. Now they both have their Venuses in Cancer, so they both take things very personally, as we've come to see with Trump. Okay, so I'm going to start up here at the 10th house because without an exact birth time, we don't know if the sun is in, excuse me, Taurus or Gemini, in the 10th house or the 11th house. But 10th house moon, excuse me, I said sun, I meant the moon. The moon in the 10th gives a natural inclination to be a leader, and in the 11th, it is a friend and deals with groups, which is wonderful. Now, in her 12th house, she has her North Node, so that her greatest area of expertise and success is working behind the scenes. Venus there indicates the love of working behind the scenes, which is very, very helpful. Now, she's an out front person, so if her moon is in the 10th, that would certainly account for it. With her sun in the first house, again, any solar chart has the sun in the first house, so it's a me first kind of quality. In Leo, great, grand, glorious Leo, she brings the drama and the storytelling ability to wherever she goes. With Mercury in Virgo, now it's in its own sign, and Virgo is very detailed. Cross those T's and dot those I's. So she is a detailed person, which is very, very helpful. It's in her second house of money, and so she'll earn her money through communication, which is obviously a really good thing for her. Third house, she has Saturn and Pluto. Saturn in the third house is an old head on young shoulders, the third house being your early environment, and so it's also the way in which you communicate, and she communicates very seriously. Not a lot of laughing, but seriously. With Pluto there too, she learned to control her thinking, and so that she's part of the generation that has that Saturn-Pluto conjunction. Pluto is all or nothing, and Saturn is reality, and so Pluto says hold back, because when it's the all or nothing part, when it lets itself rip, it's really big stuff. And so she's going to be controlled in the way that she expresses the information. We don't see rage, we don't see anything, it's just controlled. Very matter of fact, very serious. Okay, fourth house, she has Jupiter in 3 Scorpio and Mars in 5 Scorpio. Now, Mars is in its own sign, Scorpio. So wherever Jupiter is where you're blessed. It's uh, totally blessed. It's abundance, and this deals with home and family and domestic issues. And we know her father, Mike Huckabee, is very, very well known in politics. With Mars in Scorpio in the fourth house, wherever Mars is, that's what comes first to you, and her home and family come first to her. It would also be her land, which can be her native land, which would be the United States, of course. Uranus, the unexpected, the rebellious, is right on that fifth cusp. That would describe her oldest child, if she has children, but also her fun nature, the impulsive quality being there, ready to have fun, ready to rip, ready to let it fly. And Neptune, which is her dream, can involve children. It can involve creativity. It's where we escape to. So she's got to have a fun outlet. I'm not sure that her job provides that much fun for her. The South Node in her sixth house says she has already mastered the idea of the concept of service, which is wonderful because that it comes naturally to her. And of course, that North Node we talked about says work behind the scenes, get the information there, and then blend the two of them. So I wish I had a birth time for her. She would be fascinating. She is a very articulate person, which does lead me to believe she has a Gemini moon. So if and when, I'll update it with a real sure enough birth chart. Okay, now let's talk about the White House press secretary, the White House communications director, different titles. Probably similar things to do, but different titles. Okay. So Anthony Scaramucci, very interesting chart. Trump's Mercury sits on his North Node, which means that communication from Trump will help him in his interactions with other people. Now, Trump's vertex sits on Scaramucci's Mars. I had to look for a second. The vertex is the karmic role in life. So there is a very karmic connection, needless to say, of a passionate nature between Trump and Scaramucci. And part of that passion might have been expressed earlier by Scaramucci before he was on Trump's team. Okay? However, Trump then will trigger the action, the passion in him and direct it toward himself, Trump. Okay, here's his first house. Very, very interesting. Mercury is retrograde in 10 degrees of Capricorn, conjunct the South Node in 11 of Capricorn. The South Node is that area that we've mastered in past lives. Mercury is communication. And so it comes easily to Scaramucci to talk, to communicate. Interesting that he has the job of communications director. There are no mistakes in the divine plan. Then his sun is in 15, let me put my glasses on so I get these degrees correct. Yes, hallelujah. 15 degrees of Capricorn. So we've got Mercury conjunct the South Node, conjunct the Sun. The Sun and Mercury are only 5 degrees apart. And while they're in Capricorn, which is very practical and logical, they're too close to be objective. We want, ideally, the Sun to be at least 10 degrees separated from Mercury, because otherwise our communication, Mercury, is blinded by the light sun of our ego sun, meaning hard to be objective. Okay, now, it's a little wide, but he's got a sun conjunct Mars, and so this is a passionate guy. He does things quickly. He wants to get it done now. He's a do-it-now guy, which is really, really cool. Mars being 24 degrees of Capricorn, very, very get the job done. And as I said, in past lives, he has been involved in communication. And since he's now working for Trump rather than against Trump, we know they have heavy-duty karma together. Okay. Second house, Venus in Aquarius, uh, and Saturn in Aquarius. Interestingly enough, the full moon with the August eclipse the August eclipse sits on Scaramucci's Venus and Saturn. This is money. Venus is love and money. It's in Aquarius, very universal, very forward thinking. And Saturn is in Aquarius, its own sign. And so he has the ability to create money. But with Saturn in the second house, there may be the fear of not having enough money. I've seen this for years in the charts of people who have money, and they're afraid of not having it. Very interesting. Saturn also rules government. So here he is working in the government for Trump. Jupiter in his fourth house in Aries, 11 degrees of Aries, home and family, he adores, he loves it. And Capricorn and fourth house both deal in real estate. So real estate can be very beneficial to him. I wonder who else has real estate holdings who could help him. You hear what I'm saying. His north node is in the seventh house of other people, a one-on-one, and this is his area of expertise, which he wants to develop in this incarnation. So I love the way this looks because he can get out there and deal with the public. Yay. Look at that Uranus-Pluto conjunction. He is in the karmic group that has the Uranus-Pluto conjunction. He's born January 6th, 1964. And, you know, the kids born in the 60s have that Pluto-Uranus conjunction going on. So this is in his ninth house of his belief system, his principles, his higher mind. Uranus is the rebel. Uranus says, I'm going to do it my way no matter what. This can make him a very forward thinker. Pluto says there's an element of control in his belief system. And so it's all or nothing. And when he does let it fly, he shoots from the hip. And I think if you read the things that he's written, you can see that he does. So that's what he brings to his belief. That's the belief system he brings to the White House. Now, again, we don't have an exact birth time, so we do not know what degree his moon is in, but it is in Libra. And so it's in his 10th house, and so he's instinctively drawn to a position of leadership. And Libra is the go-between. Libra is the balance between people, between things, the intermediary. I love it. And so he is instinctively drawn to a position of leadership, and there he is. Now, Neptune is in 17 of Scorpio in his 11th house. Neptune is our escape. It's our dream, and it can be our dream come true. It's in his 11th house of friends. And so there's an idealistic tone to his friendships. Maybe a certain amount of wishful thinking. But groups are very, very important to him. So perhaps dealing with a press corps will be something that fulfills his need to have the perfect group, the ideal group. So not much to tell without a birth time, very frustrating to an astrologer. So I will say goodbye for now. I'm looking forward to the next time we get together. So this is Maxine Taylor saying, may the stars shine brightly on you and yours. Till next time.